What would you do if you saw your neighbor dragging large black trash bags into the back of a pickup truck in the middle of the night? I'm sure you wouldn't think much of it, but what if you saw it again? And then again, the bags are heavy, always two or three, always late at night. You'd probably think, well, everyone has their quirks. But what if I told you this neighbor once saved my son's life? That he helped us out financially when times were tough, looked after our dog when we were out of town, and brought fresh banana bread to our doorstep when my wife was sick? You'd probably think nothing of it. I didn't either, at first. But behind Tom's late night drives with garbage bags was a terrifying truth. It started about 4 weeks ago. Around 2:30 a.m., I was up late and went to the kitchen. That's when I heard the low growl of an engine outside. I peeked out the window and saw Tom, standing in his driveway, loading two large black trash bags into the bed of his pickup. They looked heavy, dead weight. One slipped from his grip and landed with a thud on the truck bed. I thought, maybe it's medical stuff. His dad's seriously ill. Could be something related to that. But then it happened again. And again. Same time, same bags. Same lonely figure in the dark. A week later, I tried to bring it up casually. How's everything going? Tom smiled, made small talk about the weather. I mentioned seeing him out late. He just shrugged. Just clearing stuff out. Doing a bit of renovation in the back room. Then I asked more directly, everything okay financially? He smiled again, but this time it felt off, tight. And then he changed the subject. That was the first time I really started to wonder. Tom doesn't work, hasn't for years. His wife Sarah used to work at a bakery, but quit after having the twins. Now she barely leaves the house. The girls are homeschooled, and yet they don't seem to be struggling. Last summer they remodeled their entire kitchen. New roof, new car for Sarah, high-end bikes for the girls. Where's the money coming from? I told myself not to overthink it, but the bags kept showing up. My wife told me to let it go. You're being paranoid, she said. He's always been kind to us. You're looking for something that's not there. Maybe she was right. But then, 2 nights ago, I heard something I can't explain. It was 3 a.m. I had fallen asleep on the couch with my laptop open. Just as I was about to go upstairs, I heard it, that familiar engine outside. I peeked through the blinds. It was Tom's pickup. He was standing by the truck again, holding another black bag. He swung it into the bed, then paused, looked up, and I swear, just for a moment, he looked straight at my window. I ducked, heart pounding. Maybe I imagined it, but maybe I didn't. That night, I didn't sleep. I had to know. What was he doing? Where was he going? And most of all, why? The next night, when the house was asleep, I slipped out the back door. It was close to 2 a.m. I moved quietly, circling around fences until I reached Tom's backyard. It was dark, no lights. Even the street lamp near their porch was off. Everything felt still, dead. I was about to turn back when I heard it. Voices, faint, muffled, a few of them. One sounded like it was laughing, another firm, low, almost arguing. It was coming from below, from the basement. I couldn't tell how many there were. 3? 5? But they were inside. There was no doubt. And then, one voice rang out, clearer than the rest. He knows. He saw us. My blood ran cold. And then, I heard it. The creaking sound of the back door opening, behind me. I froze. The back door creaked open, and I didn't even have time to breathe. I ducked behind a bush near the fence, heart thundering in my chest. The sound of slow footsteps on the porch made my stomach twist. I couldn't see who it was. The angle was too tight. I held still, eyes shut for a second, praying whoever it was would just go back inside. Then the footsteps stopped, and I heard a voice. We'll take care of it. Just be ready. It wasn't Tom's voice. It was deeper, colder, completely unfamiliar. The footsteps retreated. The door shut. I didn't move for almost 10 minutes. Eventually, I slipped out of the yard and back into my house, drenched in sweat, my breathing shallow. The next morning, the sun was shining. Tom was mowing his front lawn, wearing a baseball cap, waving to a neighbor, as if the night before hadn't happened. as if there weren't strangers whispering in his basement, as if he wasn't dragging bodies around in black plastic bags. What the hell is going on in that house? I tried to play it cool. Took out the trash, pretended to check the mail. Tom waved. "Morning, Paul." His smile was effortless. It made me feel sick. I couldn't stop thinking about the voice. The fact that it wasn't Tom, that someone else was involved, made everything worse. I started watching the house more closely. Not obviously. I'd sit on my porch with a book, glance occasionally, keep the windows open more often, let the dog out late at night. 2 days later, I saw someone else. It wasn't Tom. It was a man, mid-30s, tall, shaved head. I'd never seen him before. He stepped out of the front door with a black duffel bag, got into a car I didn't recognize, and drove off. This time, it wasn't 2 a.m. It was 10:45 in the morning. They don't care if anyone sees them anymore. I told my wife. She gave me a look. "Paul, you're obsessing again." But I saw the way she looked out the window after. I saw how she double-locked the front door that night. That weekend, I tried to talk to Sarah, Tom's wife. I waited until she was getting the mail, walked over casually. She looked off. Her eyes darted, and she kept fidgeting with her sleeve. I asked how she was doing. She said, "Fine, thanks." Then she looked back at the house. "Tom's waiting for me," she said quietly. "He doesn't like when I stay outside too long." She turned and walked away. My blood turned cold. That night, I set up an old baby monitor we'd kept in storage. I hid the receiver in my garage and pointed the microphone toward their side of the fence. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Around 3 a.m., I heard movement, muffled voices again, and then, clear as day, the last one brought in 10 grand. Easy, followed by laughter. "Get the next. Young. No tattoos." I nearly dropped the receiver. The next morning, I called the police. I didn't know what to say. "Hey, I think my neighbor is running an underground organ trade out of his basement." Didn't exactly roll off the tongue. I just said I'd seen suspicious activity. People coming and going, late night trips. They sent a cruiser. 2 officers knocked on Tom's door. I watched from the window like a damn coward. He invited them in. They were inside for maybe 15 minutes. Then they left. One of them laughed on the way back to the car. No arrest. No questions for me. No follow-up. That night, I found something on my porch. A small cardboard box. No label. No return address. Just sitting there like it had always belonged. I brought it inside. Opened it slowly. Inside was a pair of latex gloves, surgical, clean, folded neatly, and a note. "Watch quietly." I didn't sleep after the box. I sat in the living room until sunrise, gloves on the coffee table like they were staring at me. I kept looking out the window, half expecting someone to be there, watching, but no one came. No one ever comes until it's too late. That morning, I drove to a hardware store and bought 2 things, a trail camera and a lockpicking set. Don't ask me why. I think I stopped caring about lines, legal, moral, whatever, the moment someone left surgical gloves on my porch like it was a joke. For the next few days, nothing happened. Tom mowed his lawn again, smiled, asked if we wanted to come over for barbecue that weekend. His daughters drew chalk flowers on the sidewalk. I said maybe. I smiled back. Then, that night, I installed the trail cam in a tree just over my fence, pointed directly at Tom's backyard. The next night, I got a hit. Motion triggered. 2:46 a.m. The clip was short, but in it, I saw 3 men. One was Tom. The second was the bald guy I'd seen before. The third, I'd never seen before. Young, late 20s, hands tied, blindfolded. They dragged him into the basement door. He didn't scream. He looked like he'd already given up. The police didn't want to see it. I tried. I called, emailed, showed up in person. They took a statement. They logged the report. But when I offered to show them the footage, "Sir, unless you have consent or a clear crime being committed, we can't take private surveillance as evidence." Clear crime? They dragged a man into a basement at 3 in the morning. How much clearer do they need? I decided I'd go in. Not that night. I needed time. I needed a plan. And above all, I needed them not to suspect me. So for the next 2 days, I acted normal. Said hi. took the dog for walks, let Charlie play in the yard like nothing was wrong. Inside, I was falling apart. I kept thinking about that guy, the one they dragged in. Was he still alive? Could he be saved? Or was I already too late? On the third night, I waited until 3:20 a.m. No movement. Lights off. I slipped through my back gate and over to Tom's yard. The basement entrance was locked, expected. That's where the lockpick came in. I'd practiced, not much, but enough. It clicked after 5 minutes. The door opened. It was cold. The hallway was narrow and damp, smelled like bleach and iron. I had a flashlight. I used it sparingly. The stairs creaked. At the bottom, there was a single bulb hanging from the ceiling, dim yellow light, and under it, a table. Not a dining table. A steel table, surgical. There were restraints on both sides, and next to it, a cooler. I don't know what I expected, but when I opened it, the smell hit me first. Raw, rotting, salt and metal. Inside were bags, labeled liver, kidney, lung, blood type, barcode. I staggered back and dropped the lid. That's when I heard it. A breath. From the shadows. He was there. The guy from the camera. Still alive? Tied to a chair. Barely conscious. His lips moved. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. Then, footsteps. From upstairs. They were coming. I ran. Didn't think. Didn't breathe. I got out, slammed the door behind me, ran back to my house, locked every damn door, and collapsed to the floor. My heart wouldn't stop racing. What the hell had I just seen? The next day, Tom was out front again, watering the garden, wearing a baseball cap, waving at neighbors, and then he turned. Our eyes met. He smiled. But this time, it was different. Not friendly. Not forced. It was knowing. Like he'd been waiting for me to look. When I came home from work that evening, my trail camera was gone. Just gone. No footage. No sign it was ever there. And there was a new note, slipped under my door. Same handwriting. You still watching? I don't know what's real anymore. After the last note, you still watching? I started to question everything. My wife caught me checking the locks 5 times before bed. My hands were shaking even when pouring coffee. Then the files disappeared. All the footage from the trail cam, gone. Audio from the baby monitor, corrupted. The picture I took of the latex gloves on the table, black screen. It wasn't just missing. It was wiped. Like it had never been there. I checked 3 times. Factory reset, cloud backup, SD card recovery, nothing. My wife pulled me aside. She looked scared, but not of what I was afraid of me. Paul, I think you need help. You haven't been sleeping. You're paranoid. You're scaring Charlie. I tried to explain about the voices, the basement, the camera footage. She just stared at me. You're not making sense anymore. That's when it hit me. That's what they want. To make me look crazy. To isolate me. To break me. And maybe it was working. I asked my neighbor across the street if he'd ever seen anything weird at Tom's place. He laughed. Tom. He's a damn saint. I'd trust him with my life. We all would. I asked another neighbor, older woman, 3 houses down. You mean Thomas? Oh, such a gentleman. Always so polite. Why? She looked at me the way you'd look at someone with tinfoil on their head. That night, even my dog didn't want to go outside. He stood at the door and whined. Backed away. Then came the knock. It was around 7 p.m. Charlie was watching cartoons. My wife was upstairs. I opened the door and saw him, Tom, holding a pie. Apple, fresh, Sarah's recipe. His smile was warm, his tone relaxed. But I saw it, the calculation behind the eyes. Thought I'd stop by. Been a while. You okay, Paul? I told him I was fine. He looked past me into the house. You've got a beautiful family, Paul. You're a good man, a good father. Then he held eye contact. I hope you never have to make a choice you can't live with. I stood there frozen. He handed me the pie, smiled, and walked away. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak, every sound made me jolt. Then I heard it, a child crying. Not from my son's room, from outside, from Tom's house. Charlie was asleep. I checked. So, who was crying? I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed a flashlight, crossed the lawn. Tom's back door was unlocked. The house was dark, too dark. The basement door was slightly open. I went down. Each step sounded like thunder in my head. Same smell. Bleach, blood, metal. The bulb flickered above, but this time something had changed. There were photos, lined up along the basement wall, each one of a person, eyes wide, face pale, caught in the moment of realization. And then, in the middle, I saw it. Me, not recently, not now. Me from years ago, wearing gloves, standing next to Tom, smiling. My knees nearly gave out. There was a monitor on the table. It played a looped video, fuzzy but clear enough. I was in it. I was talking, laughing, cleaning tools, holding a cooler. The door behind me opened. I spun. Tom stood there. "Welcome back." "Welcome back," Tom said again, softly. I couldn't speak. My throat was dry, my knees weak. The basement felt colder than ever, like the walls were breathing. I looked back at the monitor. The video kept looping. Me, smiling, working. "This isn't real," I whispered. "This isn't me." Tom stepped forward. No anger, no aggression, just calm. "You don't remember. I get it. That's by design. You asked for it, remember? After the last time, after what happened." He sat on the edge of the surgical table like it was a park bench. "You broke. You couldn't live with it. So, we gave you an exit. A clean one, new memories, new peace." I shook my head. My voice cracked. "Number no, I would never." He raised a hand. "You did. You chose to forget. But something inside you remembered. That's why you started watching again." My head was spinning. "Why me?" I asked. "Because you were the best," he said. "Efficient, discreet, empathetic even. That's why people trusted you." He smiled. "Still do." I backed away, toward the stairs. "I'm leaving." Tom nodded. "Of course. But before you do," he reached into a drawer under the table, pulled out a folder, dropped it on the floor in front of me. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside were photos of my wife, my son, our house, the school, grocery runs, playgrounds, routine, innocent, all time-stamped. "Insurance," he said. Then he leaned in slightly. "You're not a prisoner, Paul. We're not monsters. You're free to go, but you know what happens if you talk." My fists clenched. "You'd hurt my family?" He looked almost hurt by the question. "Number. You'd be the one hurting them. If you drag them into this, they're safe, as long as you keep them safe." He pointed toward the table. "Or you could come back. You're good at this, and you've seen what we do with the money. No one suffers unless they were already going to. You knew that once." The words felt like poison in my ears. But then, a flicker, a flash of memory, dark hallways, steel trays, laughter, a man, screaming, my hands, steady, a voice in my head. "He's gone already. Make it count." I dropped the folder and stumbled back. Tom didn't stop me. He just watched. "You'll remember more soon. And when you do, you'll understand. We don't take. We repurpose. We make meaning out of death." I ran. When I got home, I hugged my son like I hadn't seen him in years. My wife asked what happened. I told her I needed help. She cried. I cried. We booked a cabin in the woods. Said we were taking time off. I turned off my phone, locked it in a drawer. No more cameras. No more notes. No more truth. But some nights, I wake up sweating. Sometimes I see things in the shadows, trays, scalpels, coolers. Sometimes I see myself. And sometimes, when the wind is just right, I hear Tom's voice in my head. "Welcome back."